What's going on, you guys? It's Cody Steck. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a minute since we released a video, but I'm excited to be back with you here talking about some of the top places to purchase a home now that prices here in St. George are starting to drop. If this is something you've been looking at, if you've been waiting to jump into the market, this is going to be some really good information for you. Even if you're not quite ready to, let's say, make a purchase right now, this is still going to be relevant information for you to keep an eye on going into the next couple of months. We're expecting interest rates to go up slightly again here in the next couple of weeks. And there's a chance that they could continue to run, for this, the remainder of this year. I think that's a really big possibility. Now, I do think the interest rates will probably come back down in maybe 2, 3, 4 years to a, more reasonable number, probably in the low 5% or high 4% range. So that could be a time to refinance your loan. If you do end up purchasing a home right now, you could always refinance it later and be able to decrease the payment that you have on that home. It still might make sense for you to purchase right now, or it might, honestly make sense to actually just wait. So let's talk about some of the different places that I think you should consider making a purchase if you're looking at doing so in the next little bit. So the first city that I want to talk about here on our list is going to be Washington. Washington sits just to the north of St. George, kind of to the northeast if you look on a map. And Washington homes topped out at a high price of $587,000 on a median basis here in June. They have since dropped to the high 400,000 range. So they were at a peak of 587 just a couple months ago. Now they're selling for, on a median basis, at the high 400 range. Now this is partially because home prices have actually dropped, but it's also because those higher end homes that are going to skew that data upwards a little bit are not selling as quickly, and there's not as many sales at that price range happening. So there are more homes at lower price points that are selling, and that's kind of bringing that down. I would say that accounts for maybe half of that drop, and the other half of that drop is actually because prices have come down just because homes are not moving, and sellers who are on the market are now dropping prices on their homes to be able to get them sold. So in just a couple of months, we've seen less sales happen in this area, and homes are selling for about 3 to 4% below the asking price right now in Washington. So this is something to keep an eye on. If this number continues to drop, that either means that there's going to be people who are priced way too high to begin with, or they're dropping their price and having to come down off of that. So that's a really important statistic to actually keep an eye on. We actually saw some insane activity here in Washington back in 2021 with homes selling up to 10% above the asking price in May of 2021. Just look at the information here on the screen with this picture. I mean, you can see that homes were selling for drastically above what they were listed for in the summer months of last year, from the spring into the summer. It was pretty crazy to see that. That's honestly some of the highest numbers I've ever seen. That definitely not typical, right? Usually in a normal market, you list a home at, let's say, 500,000 and you get offers below that, right? You get people who come in and say, yeah, I'll buy it, but I'm not paying 500. However, in this case, people said, okay, you're asking 500. Well, I'm going to give you 550, right? It's kind of just crazy, but that's the way supply and demand works. It works with everything from your groceries to gas to real estate. So that's something to keep an eye on to see these insane prices. I think Washington is going to be one of the most desirable areas in St. George going forward. There's going to be some other good areas that we're going to talk about here in just a second, but definitely keep your eye on Washington if you're looking at the market. Okay, so the next area that I want to talk about here on our list is going to be Bloomington and the southern end of the St. George metro. So if you look at this area, there are a fewer amount of sales that are happening here. So this data can be a bit skewed because if there's, maybe only 15 or 20 sales that happen within any given month in this particular neighborhood, well, that data can skew widely. If there's a, let's say $1 million home that sells, that's going to draw the data upwards as opposed to just a bunch of smaller or lower priced homes selling. So just keep that in mind as we kind of go through this data. But from what we're seeing so far, home prices peaked at a median price of $677,000 in this area. They have now dropped to the low 500K range. Now, I do think, like I just said, there were a couple higher priced homes that sold that brought that median basis up. But as we look at last month, they've now dropped to the low 500K range, which is what homes are actually selling for in this area. You can get a really nice home in this area at that price point. So I think that's something you should definitely consider. And the thing to also remember is that higher end homes are not selling as quickly as they were a couple months ago or last year or anything like that, right? These higher end homes are sitting just because interest rates have gone up. So if you're getting a loan on a property, you're now having to pay more for that property. And so a lot of those buyers have either dropped their price point or they've dropped out of the market entirely because they just don't want to pay those higher prices. The third place that I want to talk about here on our list is going to be Santa Clara and Ivins. These two cities sit just to the northwest of the St. George Metro. They are technically outside of St. George, but they're kind of grouped in with that metro area overall. So I've grouped these two cities together just because they're right next to each other and they have a lot of similarities. You know, Ivins 15, 20 years ago was kind of like way out of town, right? It was like, if you lived out there, you know, it was kind of like a little bit weird, but now Ivins is actually a really, really nice area. And there's a lot of people moving there because they like the fact that you can live, you know, 15, 20, 30 minutes away from kind of the center of town, depending on where you're at exactly. And you can get a really nice home. There's amazing views out there. You get a little bit more of that privacy, a little bit more of that, you know, kind of, let's say, rural feel out there. And so it's actually becoming a really nice area overall. We saw prices peak back in March, actually at 630,000, and they've dropped quite a bit after that into April and May, but then they climbed again before having dropped. So they've kind of been all over the place again, mostly because of what homes are actually selling. That's going to skew the data a bit. But the more important metric that I actually want to look at here is the list price to actual sales price. What we're seeing right now is that list prices have actually dropped about 12% off of their high, and homes are still selling between 4 to 6% below what the asking price is. So not only have listing prices come down, but now homes are also selling below that by roughly 4 to 6%. So this is another important metric to keep an eye on. I'll be bringing you market updates on what's happening kind of just in the overall market, what's happening with you know, home sales here in St. George, and we're going to be talking a lot about that here on the channel in the next couple of months. So make sure to stay tuned, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and you know, keep an eye on the market. If you're thinking about making a purchase, now might be the right time, or perhaps it's not. If you're thinking about making that move, if you've got a home to buy or to sell, reach out to me. My team and I service the entire state of Utah, and we want to be your trusted real estate resource, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, or maybe even build a home. If you're looking to do anything real estate related, we want to be your resource. Make sure to reach out to us. My information's here on the screen, and it'll be in the description box below, where you can also book a time to have a call with me directly, and we can talk about your situation and see if it actually makes sense. Me and my team, we just shoot it straight. We just tell you, hey, you know, maybe renting is a better option, or maybe keeping your house is a better option. We're not your typical realtor that's just going to say, yeah, sell, 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 or buy, 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 right? We're going to give you an honest opinion on what's best for your situation. So that being said, reach out to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe so you get notified on these upcoming videos. And with all of that said, we'll catch you in the next one.